With the prototype trying to kill us down in the labs, Mob has gotta come up with something to continue the series. But then what is the prototype gonna do? He just had Safe Haven exploded, threatened Poppy with being put into a case, and now only Kissy and us are the last obstacles in his way. Well, let's try to figure out the prototype's motives, and that'll give us a good foundation to build on. The first thing I want to go over is the fact that he doesn't want to leave the factory. Even before the Hour of Joy, the prototype had the option to leave or save Theodore Grambell's life. The prototype convinced Theodore to look for documents for him, and he even got caught once, but because he was a kid, they didn't suspect anything and thought he had an imaginary friend. But eventually, they got their hands on 2 grab packs with green hand attachments, and they used the green hands to open a door in order to leave the factory. However, Theodore was shocked by the grab pack, severely injuring him. But with the door open, the prototype had the option to escape or save Theodore, and for some reason, he saved him, bringing him to the Playtime Co. staff. But this gets weird when you realize the prototype never wanted to leave and even ended up killing Catnap anyway. So if he doesn't want to leave, then why does he want to stay? Well, in the tape named Time, we hear a very interesting conversation between the prototype and Harley Sawyer. We learn that Sawyer is working for the prototype in order to figure out some sort of secret, and because the prototype needed Sawyer and whatever it is they're doing is in the labs, we can assume that they're trying to make some sort of breakthrough with the experiments.
That will give me labs access, at least with the 2 of us.
That is out of the question.
You will still work. Fine, but you have no staff, virtually no test subjects. It's hardly ideal conditions. Even when this place was fully operational, we were beating our heads against this. You can't expect to do it on your own so quickly.
But this also seems weird because in a Project Playtime tape, we saw the prototype tell us that he wanted the Bigger Bodies Initiative to fail. So if he wants the Bigger Bodies Initiative to stop, then why have Sawyer help him with more experiments? Well, we know from the tape that the secret they're trying to crack is something that Playtime Co. couldn't figure out, which means they aren't just making more Bigger Bodies toys. And if we combine this with Mommy Longlegs' death, we can get a pretty decent theory going. Right before she died, she screams out in fear, "He'll make me part of him. You can't do this to me."
What have you done? He'll make me part of him. You can't do this to me.
But if she knew she was gonna die, then why be afraid of anything? Well, it's possible that the prototype is trying to reverse the effects of the Bigger Bodies Initiative by turning the toys back to humans. It would make sense as to why Mommy Longlegs was afraid of what would happen after her death, and why the secrets is something that they were having trouble figuring out. But when you realize that we killed Sawyer and the prototype didn't even try to stop us, it's possible that he already figured it out and no longer needs Sawyer's help. So if he can now turn the toys back to humans, then why does he want us in the labs? Wouldn't we be in the way? Well, the prototype isn't stupid. He knew we were going to survive the fall because of the grab pack. He knew we'd go right down into the labs, which means he wants us there. And what even further proves this is because the prototype has showed he doesn't want to kill us. All 3 times we see him, he didn't even try to kill us, and although he might not have seen us the 3rd time, he definitely did the first 2 times. So if he wants us alive and he's turning toys back into humans, then it's possible the prototype wants to use us as his new body. We know that the prototype took the orphans down to the labs and now they're sleeping.
The orphans weren't killed during the Hour of Joy. They were taken. They're below, in the labs. The prototype's home. They are alive, but sleeping. They're with him.
So if he needs us and the orphans, then we could be his new body, and the orphans would be the toys' new bodies. And with the ending of chapter 4, we saw Huggy coming at us all while the red smoke is filling the room. And we're either gonna die immediately, or the prototype is gonna take us while we're unconscious. Or he might just do the same thing he did with Catnap, but reverse style. He might be right behind Huggy Wuggy. But if we die, chapter 5 is gonna be the shortest chapter in the game. So instead, the prototype could open the doors to the labs, bring us into some sort of cage room that he could keep us in, and then try to experiment on us. But if the prototype succeeds, then it would still be the shortest chapter, so something would have to happen in order to cause conflict in the story. And the only person who hasn't betrayed or tried to kill us is Kissy, so it's possible that in the same way that she survived chapter 3, she'll survive chapter 4, but with even more injuries. But we're pretty much locked in the room, so the only thing Kissy could do is fight Huggy. But with the prototype knocking us out with the red smoke, she might stop Huggy, but we're still cooked. But because the prototype said that we would be dealt with, it makes me think, now that he separated us from Kissy, will he kill her? We know that he's able to do things without us noticing, like when he took the bombs back in the Foundation. So what if the room shutting on us was to make sure that we wouldn't help Kissy? We know that the prototype is willing to kill the toys whenever he feels like it. So if Kissy comes to fight Huggy, then what's stopping the prototype from killing both of them? But another possibility is that the prototype is trying to kill us with the red smoke, but we'll end up finding a way to escape, just like when Sawyer did the exact same thing in the prison. But this might be a stretch because the labs are the most secure place in the entire factory. So for the prototype to not know a vent could help us escape would be pretty weird. But we also might figure out his identity, which in my opinion is Elliot Ludwig. In a note in chapter 4, we read of an event where one of the safe haven toys saw the prototype's face, which has been hidden from us the entire time we've been in the factory. But guess whose face we've also never seen? Elliot Ludwig's. But this is just a cool coincidence. The real evidence is in my other video where I go into it more in depth, and I'll leave that link down in the description. But think about it, the tape we see Elliot Ludwig in, his face is completely censored. Why would anyone censor his face unless they didn't want us to see? I don't think any of the safe haven toys did it, and the only person who could possibly have a motive to do it would be the prototype. But what do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching, subscribe, and click on this video right here.